this. The margins are shrinking in terms of reserve margins. We've seen situations just as recently as last winter on Christmas Eve where 9 states in the Mid-Atlantic region had rolling blackouts. The winter before it happened in Texas. Demand is going up. Supply is not keeping up with it, and so our margins are getting thin. They're not keeping up with it for a few reasons. One is it's hard to build new capacity in this country. It's hard to build a new solar plant. It's hard to build a new wind plant. It's hard to build a new gas turbine plant. It's hard to build a transmission line. It takes time to do these things. It takes a lot of capital. To the extent we're also shutting down some always available capacity, you're creating less supply. So that mix between supply and demand is getting a little into the danger zone, and that's the concern we have about electric reliability. This is a proposed rule, and it's a proposed rule that really, we think, violates the Clean Air Act in terms of the authority of the Environmental Protection Agency. But this proposed rule has a couple of fundamental flaws. It mandates the use of 2 technologies that really aren't ready for prime time. It says if you want to, and this is for both coal and gas, you either have to use carbon capture and sequestration, or you have to use hydrogen. You have to be ready to do that by the year 2031, which is not that far away when it comes to planning and investments in infrastructure in the electric sector. So how do we get there when these technologies aren't even ready? It's fascinating that this is a proposed rule that talks about aspirationally, well, we hope the technology's ready. And it's an old cliche, hope isn't a very good strategy. I don't think they thought for 1 second about electric reliability when they were drafting up this rule. This rule is not going to work for this country. It's going to mean less electricity, more power outages, and higher expense. There's a disconnect between where policy is taking us and the capacity of the electric sector to get there in terms of having available generation. If you're going to do a transition to a different set of generation, it's going to take time to make that happen. It's going to take advancements in technology from where we are today, because if you just replace everything with intermittent resources, I'm here to tell you 4 hours of battery storage, that's not long-term storage, and that doesn't fix the problem. On the other hand, I can say that when it comes to new technology, to solar battery combinations and wind battery combinations, take a look at the response from the electric cooperative movement to the $10 billion program that was in the IRA that's being distributed by the Department of Agriculture. We had over $93 billion of projects proposed by electric cooperatives across the country that are clean energy projects. So cooperatives are looking at participating in expanding and diversifying the resource base, in having renewable energy as a component of that portfolio, and they've responded to those incentives really well. That's good policy to incent people to make those types of investments. What's bad policy is forcing closure of reliable assets that therefore compromise electric reliability in the grid. The message here is make an informed decision and a pragmatic decision about how you can have whatever the energy transition is ultimately going to be. Let's be thoughtful about what it takes to really get there. So let's make sure we're not messing with an electric grid, which is pretty special today, and it's going to be foundational where we go in the future.